It's been more than 7 months since the horrific train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, and President Biden has not yet visited the small town, despite promising to do so. So he's been on vacation at his beach house in Delaware a number of times. He went on a week-long trip to Lake Tahoe and recently did visit the devastated areas of Florida and Hawaii. This has drawn a lot of criticism from Republicans, both in the state and nationally, for him not taking a trip to Ohio.
Hey guys, welcome to another video from the Justice Appalachian Homestead. I want to welcome my new subscribers. If you haven't had a chance to hit the subscribe button or thumbs up on the video, take the time to do it now. I can wait. Okay. Wanted to take some time away from Maui right now. All right, because there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of that video that's surfacing that they didn't want you to upload seems to be what's starting to get some people into some heat over there. But what's going on over there seems to be overshadowing what's still going on over here in the mainland. I'm talking about East Palestine, Ohio. I was looking over some video on that, and there's been some people in Maui talking about benzene turning up in the water supply there, which can give you leukemia. Well, there's benzene turning up in every major stream and lake right now around where that train derailed. Norfolk Southern, which, by the way, is owned and operated by Blackrock, the Vanguard Group, State Street. I gotta wonder if this stuff isn't just all theater at this point. So they're gonna go ahead, the EPA, got some guy I'm going to show you in a bit. Looks like Kanye is saying we're going to make the EPA pay for the cleanup, but that's just a drop in the bucket compared to what BlackRock has in their bank account since they own everything. This is all theater. But the EPA doesn't seem to be very interested in testing for contaminants. They say they see no evidence of it, even though locals are posting video of fish kills, ponds, hundreds, thousands of fish floating to the surface. You can just throw a brick in the water and then see a slick or a sheen appear. Livestock just dropping dead. I gotta kind of wonder, man, you know, how many of these billionaires like Bill Gates that are buying up all this property here was affected by stuff like that, right? Or was it just the property, like in Lahaina, that these guys were salivating over that seems to be affected so they could thin the herd, which is what they're doing, and letting things happen so they could make more land unlivable, and these greedy bastards can come in and buy it up for pennies on the dollar. I'm gonna get this video going, and we'll talk a little bit more along the way.
This video, obtained by our news partners at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, was taken by a security camera at an equipment manufacturing plant in Salem, Ohio, some 20 miles from East Palestine. You can see what appear to be sparks or flames under one of the cars as it passes the plant. The NTSB referenced the video at a news conference earlier this week.
We have obtained 2 videos which show preliminary indications of mechanical issues on one of the rail car axles.
That second video came from a processing plant a mile down the track, also in Salem. In front of that plant is a hot box detector, which scans the temperature of the axles as the train passes and sounds an alert if they're overheated.
The crew did receive an alarm from a wayside defect detector shortly before the derailment, indicating a mechanical issue. Then an emergency brake application initiated.
The NTSB says there was an alert, but it is not known if it came from the hot box detector in Salem or the next one down the track 20 miles away in East Palestine, where that derailment happened. And if the alert wasn't triggered when the train passed Salem, why not?
How is it that every step of the way, when you have these 3-letter organizations that are often appointed and rarely elected, you know, they'll run drills, they'll high-five each other and certify each other, hey, congratulations, we passed the test, we showed that our system worked, and then when something happens, they just fall apart. All their safety guards don't work. Their means of communication, no matter how functional, don't seem to function. And when it comes down to it, they're not above to just flat out lying to the public. And if you pull out your cell phone camera, they call the cops.
Norfolk Southern will pay for cleaning up the mess that they created.
If they don't, the EPA says the company could be fined up to 3 times whatever that cleanup costs. Is this action tough enough?
Oh, it is. We're going to demonstrate to this community that Norfolk Southern will be held accountable.
In a statement, the company's saying, we are committed to thoroughly and safely cleaning the site.
We're going to continue our financial assistance to the residents of this community.
The company says it's reimbursed or committed $6.5 million so far. Meanwhile, officials continue trying to reassure residents the air and water are safe and that testing will continue indefinitely, even drinking the water themselves. But many residents still worry about health problems.
Don't feel good, can't breathe, head's ringing, ears hurt, my teeth hurt.
We caught up with Mark Rothenberg outside a clinic that opened today.
I was advised that they were going to do a medical examination, ask questions, and it was simply just a survey.
Hi, guys. You guys are going to wait. I'm going to feed the goats first. The Sunday after the derailment, I went to put them away for the night, and I had a dead rooster in my yard. Initially, I thought maybe just something random happened to it. I wasn't sure. I didn't put 2 and 2 together because we were told it was safe. And then I had another one that I found a few minutes later who was isolating himself. He did not go in for the night. I had to carry him into the coop. I had another one who was starting to walk funny. You can see that his legs are just not working right. This is infuriating and it's sad. It was 2 days after the detonation. He completely couldn't walk anymore. He was completely coherent. If I put him by food and water, he would eat and drink perfectly fine, but he couldn't use his legs anymore. And I also, the same night, had a hen who I put in the coop. She went up on the roost and then started seizing and fell off the roost. And it happened multiple times after that. She has since seemed to not be having those, so I don't know if it was the initial exposure that just messed with her system and now she's okay. I don't know what the long-term effects are. They were perfectly healthy before all this happened, and within 24 hours, they all dropped. That's just not normal, and it was all slightly different symptoms. I also had 2 rabbits die. They were within 24 hours. It was literally overnight. They just dropped.
So this is the night of the derailment. So it would be that brick red house right there. Obviously something that catastrophic to that extent has to do more to the environment and everything than what they're saying. No. Come on, guys. Come on. Up until today, I would have probably said something completely different. I would have probably said I was thoroughly impressed with everything and how they're handling it and how transparent they've been. But whenever you do have to wonder when you go and smell that. And of course, you're going to smell any effects whenever they mess with anything at the site. But you could taste the chemical in your mouth, almost like a smell taste. I would like to see continuing testing, every 3 months for the next year and a half. I would really appreciate. It's been nice to see them actually putting forth a big effort into making sure that they're constantly monitoring air and water. But I'm also now starting to kind of be a little bit more concerned of the lasting impacts.
So all that funding that Norfolk Southern's talking about providing to East Palestine, I've yet to see anybody who says, hey, yeah, they cut me a check, I got some. I haven't seen any footage where anybody confirms that they've seen 1 red cent. Also, those health screenings seem to be nothing more than a survey, like they're just collecting data, maybe so their next attack on whatever town comes after this is a little more efficient. That makes me very weary when all they do is come in and collect data. And as far as these people is losing their livestock, man, when you move out and you into the country and you're raising chickens and livestock so you could provide your own healthy food, so you know what you're putting into your body, and suddenly everything just drops dead around you within 24 hours, and there's not a whole lot of meaningful news coverage about it. That's devastating, and I think that that's a part of the plan.
Wow.
Look at all that.
Look at it.
It's all in the bottom of the creek bed. There are literally hundreds of dead fish, all coming from the one creek that's coming from the wreckage. That fish in this one is actually probably about a foot long, so it's not just the little ones. And then you see a bunch of little ones scattered around it. Little beaver runs into big beaver, runs through our state park, and there's dead fish everywhere. I can't even begin to imagine the trickle effect we're going to have on the wildlife around here.
Good to see both of you. Thank you so much for coming on. We do appreciate that. So obviously this, the news cycle, as you know, it goes on, and perhaps folks like yourself have been overlooked in East Palestine. Catch us up, Rick, with what the situation is like today. Are there any concerns anymore? Is everything okay, A-okay in East Palestine?
Oh my gosh. I want America to know that they're all being lied to. Our waterways are still heavily contaminated. It's gotten time now to go deep into the creek beds, the banks, and the soil. When they knocked the park bridge down for a remodel, I knew they were going to release a lot of chemicals because I was under it the other day poking my stick and chemicals were all out. When they knocked the bridge down, there was another fish kill. All the fish, all the crayfish, all life was killed in that creek. The EPA came out the next day. We filmed it. We were down there with a Time magazine reporter. Chemicals everywhere. The next morning, all the fish were gone. EPA says they smelled no chemicals, so they did no testing. They saw no chemicals. I took the newspaper that was quoted that they said there were no chemicals in the creek, held it, filmed as I'm knocking the chemicals out of the creek everywhere. So that's on my YouTube channel. We are being lied to, and I don't know why. Everybody's worried about President Biden coming here or not coming here. I just want him to take a trip to his desk and just sign the Declaration of Emergency. Yeah. He doesn't have to come here. Just swipe his pen.
Well, you know, we hear that, but there have been some demands just for, again, if a president travels to an area, that means the media follows the president. And perhaps, again, there would be more attention to what's going on in your town and what you're experiencing. President Biden was asked about whether or not he would visit East Palestine again over the weekend. Here's what he had to say. Let's listen.
Well, I haven't had the occasion to go to East Palestine. There's a lot going on here, and I just haven't been able to break. I was thinking whether I'd go to East Palestine this week, but I then was reminded I've got to go literally around the world.
All right, Tammy, your thoughts on that answer?
Well, I think it's reprehensible that he's not paid that much attention to what's going on here. And I'm not sure if he really knows. Maybe the EPA is not telling him correctly, but we did our own testing. We took it to an EPA-approved lab. It's a prestigious lab. We took creek water. And there's chemicals that I can't even pronounce that are in that water. And one of those chemicals is benzene. Benzene is a carcinogen, and there are kids playing in that creek, and those creeks are alongside people's homes. And one thing the American people should know, why it's so important that that creek water is attended to, is because it leaches down into the aquifer. That aquifer supplies thousands of people with their water, the private wells, like we're on a private well. So our drinking water, our cooking water, our bathing water, we will never know if that is in our wells unless we are testing every moment of every day. So that's why it's important he signed that declaration. Do we get some help to get this chemical situation?
And I just shot that video. That's recent. That is not 6 months ago. It's horrible here. East Palestine Off the Rails is our Facebook group if you want to know the truth. Yeah. And this could happen in anybody's town.
Yeah, that's what I was...
It's not a red or blue issue. It is a human issue, and we need taken care of as humans.
How can the EPA not find that? That's me. Just filmed that.
Yeah. When did you shoot that?
That was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
And now we try to film and they call the police on us every time, even though the waterways are public access.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And the results from the water came back just on Friday. So that is just the reason.
Yeah, benzene is a class 1 carcinogen. You don't want to ingest it. It will vapor off into the cracks in your basement. Not pretty.
And that's why people are getting sick, because they're probably smelling these toxic chemicals.
Well, you're getting the message out there. We've shown that video, obviously. I know you sent a letter to the Senator J.D. Vance, who serves in that area. So, again, we'll see what kind of traction that picks up and if it garners a little bit more attention, obviously, based on that video. It sure looks like it needs it. And your lab results that you have.
You've been so good to us and getting the word out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's astonishing to me that we're in a place in America, of all places, where the EPA can come in and call the police on you. If they come in and say, yeah, we're not going to test any of the water or anything because we don't see any evidence of contamination, and then you pull out your cell phone, they call the police, and then the police actually show up and run you off. Unless they're covering something up. I'm telling you, right now, we are in a soft war, and they're killing us in plain sight. And if you have the balls to stand up and say something about it and pull out your cell phone, they punish you for it, like they did this guy.
Guys, he's a national correspondent. You cannot do this.
An unexpected interruption during a live TV report. Officers move in and take down a network reporter during a press conference with Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. News Nation reporter Evan Lambert was taken into custody, accused of disorderly conduct and criminal trespass.
Tonight, Lambert is speaking out about the arrest and the events leading up to his encounter with officers. John Fenolio has been following the story and joins us live in the KTLA News Center with more. John.
Well, Sharon, Mike, and this arrest has surprised a lot of people, including Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. News Nation reporter Evan Lambert was covering a train derailment and subsequent evacuation orders due to the release of hazardous chemicals. But he was pinned to the ground and arrested before he could finish his reporting.
On all of that, we'll check back in with you.
It started as a fairly routine, albeit important, live news report.
And the derailment unfolded originally on Friday night.
News Nation reporter Evan Lambert covering a press conference in East Palestine, Ohio, where Governor Mike DeWine was giving an update on evacuation orders following a train derailment. DeWine was speaking to the press and public in a gymnasium. Lambert was at the back of the room reporting when local law enforcement told him to be quiet.
We're actually being told right now that we need to stop broadcasting because this news conference is behind us. Nicole?
Lambert quickly wraps up his report with an officer standing behind him. Moments later, police reportedly tell him to leave. It's unclear what's being said as the officers from various agencies try to force Lambert out of the room. Then one of the officers pulls on Lambert's arm to forcibly remove him. A struggle appears to ensue, and police tackle Lambert to the ground and put him in handcuffs.
This is horrible.
Cameras rolling as Lambert is escorted to a patrol car, accused of disorderly conduct and criminal trespassing. Governor DeWine apologizing for the rough arrest a short time later.
I'm certainly very, very sorry that happened. I don't know all the facts, but he or she, whoever was arrested, had every right to be reporting and do what they do every single day.
These things really should never happen.
Mickey Osterreicher is the general counsel for the National Press Photographers Association.
Do you think this was a violation of First Amendment rights?
Absolutely. The First Amendment is not absolute. It's subject to what's known as reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions. It appeared to me that he complied. The situation was over with. They should have just left it at that.
Lambert was released from jail shortly after 10 p.m. local time Wednesday.
No journalist expects to be arrested when you're doing your job. And I think that's really important that doesn't happen in our country. It obviously happens more often, more frequently in other countries that don't have the freedoms that we do.
Disorderly conduct and criminal trespassing. Look, man, I'm not going to tell you what you saw. You guys are seeking the truth. That's why you tune into channels like this instead of watching their version of it on the mainstream. Do you find it kind of concerning how more frequent law enforcement is starting to become more weaponized against the people that they claim that they serve and protect? It's only going to get worse, people. Agenda 2030, the Great Reset, these guys are hell-bent on meeting that deadline. It's why they're trying to put Trump in jail. He's the only person that's going to stand in the way, at least for 4 years. Who knows what's going to happen after that? But in the meantime, guys, you have to continue waking up. You have to continue sharing video like this. If there's anything that I've come to realize is that a government can no longer forcibly enslave the masses, but they are breeding us to contain ourselves. And there's nothing worse than the prison of the mind. So, until the next video, this is Lonnie from the Justice Appalachian Homestead, and we will holler at you later.